Miss Mama Work. Hello, my fellow artisans. It has been a while since you heard my voice. Is not. I had some trouble with this particular one, but I was asked to talk more about how I improved my habits and fought my eating disorder. I really wanted to say something about it. I will divide my answer into two parts because I have gone through two complete therapy courses to help me in this fight. And I think the vibes of these two courses were different enough to create different pieces. I also want to draw more. This time, I will talk about the first time I was treated for my binge eating disorder. I tried to find my notes of that time, because it is already 5 years ago since I learned this. But call me surprised to find out I had thrown everything away. Even the book that I had used to take notes and have a food diary, I noticed that I had cut out the pages that I filled and left the rest to actually work for the second therapy. So I really threw everything out. I looked everywhere and I found a lot of notes from the other therapy. Also, a lot of reading material from my depression treatment, but not a sliver of the first binge eating treatment. So, this means I have to rely on my memory for this one. Referring back to the previous video, this specific treatment came to be because I had finished treatment for depression and I had told my therapist I was distracting myself with food. I was very lucky to be sent to an expert, and I was diagnosed as having a binge eating disorder. Think of getting questions like how many times do you feel like you lost control of how much you were eating? Or do you often remember what you have eaten throughout the day? With this specific facility I was sent to, the main focus of the treatment was with people who suffered from other eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia. So binge eating was kind of a side effect of these eating disorders. I remember the focus was on getting a solid construction and having a schedule for when to eat, not how much to eat. As a matter of fact, one of the things that was absolutely clear in this treatment was that it did not matter how much or what you ate as long as you ate something. Again, binge eating was a side effect of other eating disorders in this treatment. And the way this was monitored was through a food diary. I had to write down every time I ate, what I ate, how many portions, what I was thinking, and how I felt. And this was throughout the day. And this was kind of tiring, but cleared up a lot. It makes you aware when you are eating, and if you realize you eat more when you are sad or angry, you can plan ahead of time for when you realize you are feeling those emotions. It also made it clear how long I would wait between meals. I had days where I skipped dinner, which I normally eat around 6 pm, and I only ate the next day around 6 am. That would mean the last meal was lunch, which was then 17 hours ago. I actually was trying to keep a food diary recently. I realized I was eating more and more often than before, or at least it felt like it. It can be very difficult, however, to keep that food diary because my attention span has dwindled significantly in the last years. Not just because I am getting older, but because I am suffering from long COVID. You need to focus on your food and not get distracted. You need to pay attention to what's happening to you while you are eating. With a busy schedule and a short attention span, I notice I put my priorities somewhere else, and I often forget to fill in the food diary. If you want to get to the core of the problem and are willing to put in the effort though, keeping a food diary will help you to make a start. As a sort of replacement, I am using a sort of bullet journal type food diary where I note down whether I cook my own food or whether I have ordered food in. Having my own cooked food is more healthy for me. I usually cook with a lot of vegetables. And also, I can more easily control the portion I put on my plate compared to mostly unhealthy foods from the takeaway. The other part of the treatment consisted of becoming aware of all the triggers I had that would lead to binge eating. I mostly ate to cover my feelings, and every time I was pushed to a certain feeling, usually sadness or anger, usually feelings that you cannot express in a certain culture or environment, I would have difficulty controlling how much I ate. Together with my therapist, I would make a diagram of what would trigger me. I really remember this, so I know that I have a diagram, I only do not know where it is. I remember one of the triggers was talking about my weight and looking in the mirror. I will talk more about this in the other part because it was a very significant part of that therapy as well. But one thing you should not do is to avoid seeing yourself or not weighing yourself. And I know it sounds contradictory. If you are triggered by this, why would you still weigh yourself? Or why would you keep looking into the mirror? But the thing is, when you do not monitor your weight, or yourself for that matter, you will build a fake person in your head. If you cannot monitor what is happening to your body, you constantly think negatively about yourself. You do not see the changes and you do not see the positive things either. Monitoring your weight in a neutral way is a healthy way to keep you on track with what is really going on with your body. I actually kept this habit and I work with the outcome. For example, when I weigh myself every other week and I have an idea what I'm doing, for example, I have noted that I have ordered a lot of food instead of cooking for myself. I can see those results on the scale and I can start an honest conversation with myself about why I am doing this. I have to state that many things are different per person. Whether or not you are getting triggered by a certain word or look or any thought in your head, it's all based on your past, your personality, and how much you are aware of the effect of these things on yourself. One other thing that I can remember is that I had to bring a family member and I was still in a sort of way of control by my mom, that I took my mom to this therapy session. And it also opened my eyes a lot about how people in my mom's generation were looking at food and eating and weighing yourself. As I had stated in the previous video about my binge eating disorder, my mother was kind of obsessed with my weight, just not only her weight, but also my weight. And one of the reasons that she really was obsessed with this, because she, in her youth, was being bullied for her weight. So in order, so she wanted to protect me. J- I still sometimes cannot fathom this. She wanted to protect her own daughter from bullying for being overweight by telling her own daughter constantly every day that she was overweight. And this was a logical thing in my mother's head. So when she came with me to one of the therapy sessions and I explained, like, if you tell me I'm fat, if you tell me that I need to lose weight, it triggers me and I only will eat more. I I was really like emotional about that and I tried to explain it in very concise words. And then the therapist looked at my mom and was like, "Do you understand what's going on?" And my mom said, "No, when will she lose weight?" And that opened my eyes so much. It was such a shock at that moment that it really made me realize, like, we are not thinking the same way. Absolutely not. So when it comes to looking back to this therapy, it was mostly a superficial way to treat the disorder. Binge eating was not the top priority in the treatment of eating disorders, and the way that I was treated focused on becoming aware of the triggers and being aware when I was changing my eating habits. It did not get into the nitty gritty of why I was doing this. It was kind of an end of pipe reaction. So, if I am triggered by people telling me I'm fat, well, now you are aware, so prepare yourself so you don't get a binge eating session. I have not eaten for 20 hours, now you know. Better get back to your schedule so you don't go binge eating again. So, as a start, this helps a lot. But as you might find out in part 2, it was absolutely not the end for me. So, in the next part, it will probably be a bit longer because I have a lot of notes and actually reading material from this era. And I hope you really liked this video. I hope you didn't get triggered by it. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing and liking this video. A lot of more commentary videos will be joining my normal small speed paints. I am working on some stuff and I will soon be working on part 2 of this. So hopefully see you next time, my fellow artisans. Goodbye.